Hello everyone, my name is John Patrick, retired professor of biochemistry and paediatrics, a Christian who talks about ethics, culture, faith and public policy. And I want to talk to you today about what's happened with Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, which I've talked about before, and its importance. It was apparent to me that you only have to look at the graphs. It's not a difficult book to get the message. It's a brilliant book. And it's having an immense impact. It's rather like seeing the cracks in an edifice just grow wider almost by the day. What he did in the book, The Anxious Generation, is propose what I think is now undeniable, that the arrival of the iPhone and its getting into the hands of children has been an utter and complete disaster. You only have to look at the graphs on the first few pages. He puts in a little block of time when the iPhone got marketed, and there you see anxiety, suicide, etc., etc. Kids are spending hours on their phone, and as a result, they're not growing up. COVID made it much worse. And what's happening now, in many places, the argument has been accepted by enough people, and schools are saying you lock up your cell phone when you arrive and you pick it up when you leave, but you do not use it in school. Good parents are actually denying their children any access to iPhones until, ideally, by the time you go to university, you might be capable of dealing with them. We all know how easy it is to be addicted to the things that the modern culture uses. They're very good at making you addicted to what they do. Games are a good example, but the iPhone in general. Girls are more affected by it than boys. Boys tend to play the games, but girls get onto TikTok and the like, and they start playing bitchy games on one another, and they are deeply anxious. The Americans have had figures for a long while. They do it regularly, and it used to run at 10% of young women in university were really bothered by anxiety in the first year or two. Now it's over 25%. And suicide is going up to that in the boys as well. And the difference between girls and boys and suicide is the girls are not very good at committing suicide, so they get a second chance. The boys tend to use a gun. That's very successful. This is disastrous. And the silly influence of people who don't really know anything about children, that's the only way you can explain this. They've turned the playground into a place that's so boring you have to push people down the slide. One of the things he says is that there's not enough space for kids to learn to negotiate the world as it actually is. It's all in the book. But what's happened, where after COVID, kids got back to school and teachers couldn't get their attention. And now they're getting their attention. There's some nice accounts. You just look up, follow this, The Anxious Generation, its impact, iPhones in school. You'll find lots of material. As one teacher put it, she said, I couldn't get their attention. And then we took the phone out of school, and I walked into my class, and they said hello for the first time after COVID. And I had eye contact. And I could teach. She was 55. She said, I was about to give up and say, I can't do this for another 10 years. So, yes, if your school hasn't banned iPhones and you care about your kids, look up the data, go to school, contact other parents, demand that they do so. This is a very short little piece. If you haven't read The Anxious Generation, get it. I think what's the governor of Arkansas loved it so much, Sarah Huckabee, I think she is, that she sent a copy to every governor of every state in the union. They can see that we care about our kids and they're in deep trouble, and the iPhone is one of the major causal factors. So learn your data, get it under control, go to the school meetings, get to know other parents and get those things out of school, and we can get our children back. Very brief, but very to the point. Thank you.